The drop pod screamed through the upper atmosphere of Kale-7, shearing against the winds of a planet so hostile that even the galactic exiles refused to land here. Lightning cracked in purple forks outside the reinforced hull as the system announced, * landing site compromised. Hazard rating, 10. Lethality, total. * Captain Elias Creed opened his eyes slowly. No panic. No fear. Just silence and breath. His suit systems pulsed calmly against his skin, adjusting oxygen flow, syncing vitals. He stared through the reinforced viewport at the chaos outside. Jagged mountain peaks pierced the sky like claws. Forests below pulsed with bioluminescent life, some of it predatory. The world looked alive, angry, waiting. He exhaled. "I've seen worse," he muttered. Of course, that was a lie. Kale-7 was known by many names: Death's Garden, the Final Maze, the Black Nursery. But officially, it was a Class X death world, the kind only studied from orbit. The Empire had sentenced him here not for a crime, but as a joke. A test. An experiment. Send the human. Let him die screaming. Let the monsters play with his bones. They underestimated what it meant to be human. The pod slammed into the surface, metal groaning, atmosphere hissing through microfractures. Elias burst out of the hatch seconds later, pulse rifle in hand, eyes scanning, suit automapping the terrain. The air was thick with toxins, but breathable in short bursts. Heat signatures flared all around, creatures circling, watching, measuring him. He didn't run. He stood tall and cocked his rifle. Come on then. They came at him in waves. First, the insect things, 8 legs, teeth like saws, eyes glowing red. He dropped 5 in quick bursts. The 6th tackled him, but he drove his combat blade through its mandibles and rolled free. Acid burned through his outer plating. He tore off the damaged armor, bearing his arm to the toxic air. "This is your world," he growled. "Then you'd better fight to keep it." He survived the first night by carving a den inside the corpse of a stone beast he'd killed with a pulse grenade. He ate its flesh raw, not because it was smart, but because it was fuel. He slept 2 hours. Then he built traps. By day 3, the jungle around his crash site was quiet. Too quiet. Predators had learned his scent. By day 5, he had a perimeter. By day 7, he had his first kill count etched into the side of his rifle. By day 10, he ruled the valley. No one came to check on him. No drop ships. No surveillance drones. The Empire had written him off. Buried him on a living planet. But Kale-7 wasn't killing him. It was becoming his. By the second month, the jungle began to change. Elias noticed it first in the behavior of the stalkers, panther-like predators with stealth camo and venomous claws. They didn't attack anymore. They watched him from the treetops, tails swaying, eyes blinking slowly. When he approached, they vanished, but left fresh kills near his shelter. An offering. He tested the meat. Not poisoned. Still warm. A gift. A week later, a pack of them began trailing him during his patrols. They didn't interfere, just kept pace. At night, their glowing eyes circled his firelight like sentries. One limped close once, injured. Elias didn't hesitate. He cleaned its wound, used part of his medical gel, and wrapped it with salvaged armor strips. It licked his hand. The next morning, he found a body in front of his den. ***, a rival predator, eviscerated ***. The stalkers had repaid the favor. He had a pack now. He mapped the terrain. Built signal towers from scrap. Made crude communication devices. Not to call for rescue, but to establish control. He established a hunting range. Identified water sources. Started studying Kale-7's ecology. The planet wasn't just deadly. It was intelligent. The way flora responded to movement, the neural-like networks in the roots, the ambient hum of sound that wasn't wind, it all pointed to a living biosphere with some form of consciousness. It wasn't just that Kale-7 tried to kill him. It was testing him. And Elias passed every test. The stalkers weren't the only creatures to submit. The winged razorfangs, bird-lizard hybrids with talons like daggers, started roosting near his camp. He learned their calls. Reproduced them. One day, a razorfang landed on his arm. Big one. Scarred. Its wings shimmered with electric blue patterns. He named it Shade. By the end of the 3rd month, Elias had a command post, a weapon cache made from scavenged alien tech, a loyal ecosystem, and a growing legend. Because now, others were arriving. Empire drop pods. Scouting teams. Bounty hunters. Scientists. All sent to study the death world that had mysteriously gone dark. Some were just here to confirm the humans' death. None left alive. The forest kept his secrets. The planet kept its protector. Elias didn't seek revenge on the Empire. He was building something more dangerous than revenge. He was becoming Kale, 7's Apex Alpha, its king. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The Empire couldn't ignore the silence anymore. Kale, 7 was too important. Not just a prison planet, it was a natural fortress, rich in exotic minerals, biological marvels, and ancient alien ruins hidden beneath its surface. Losing it meant more than a failed execution. It meant weakness. So, they sent a task force. Full military deployment. Dropships, orbital support, mechanized units. Over 1,000 soldiers, elite bioterror squads, and a high-level governor to oversee the reclamation. Their orders: neutralize the human. Reclaim Kale, 7. Burn anything that resists. ***. What they found was a nightmare. From the moment their boots touched the soil, the jungle turned against them. Vines coiled around ankles and ripped soldiers into the canopy. Acidic spores filled the air, corroding armor. Stalkers, razorfangs, and chameleonic predators attacked in waves. ***coordinated waves. The humans weren't running wild. They were defending territory. A commander shouted into his comms, "Who's controlling them?" And then Elias answered. His voice came through their channels, distorted by static, broadcasted from one of their own hacked drones. "You sent me here to die. But this world didn't kill me. It raised me." The governor demanded a counterattack. Ordered firebombing. Deployed mechs. And Elias came for them. He didn't come alone. With Shade diving from the skies and an army of beasts at his back, Elias tore through the lines like a storm in flesh. He fought with weapons forged from the planet's bones, spears tipped with crystal venom, armor grown from bioreactive bark, and eyes that glowed with the light of Kale 7's strange energy. He was Kale 7 now. The battle lasted 6 days. By the end, the jungle had reclaimed the landing zone. Empire banners burned. Their ships were nothing but husks. Survivors? There were none. Except one. Elias left the governor alive. Stripped, wounded, and tied to a stake in the middle of the jungle. A warning to future invaders. The governor screamed as the forest closed in, whispering, clicking, watching. Elias watched from the treetops. He didn't smile. He simply turned and disappeared into the shadows of his world. News of the Empire's failed reclamation spread like wildfire. Whispers of the human ghost of Kale 7 echoed in black markets, rebel hideouts, and even within Imperial war councils. Rumors said he commanded monsters, spoke the jungle's language, and wore armor that breathed and healed. They said he was immortal. They called him the Wild King. But Elias didn't care about titles. He cared about his people. Over the years, more humans were dumped on Kale 7, exiles, dissidents, criminals. The Empire had always used the planet as a dumping ground. Now, every transport became a recruitment drive. Elias welcomed them. He trained them. He showed them how to survive, how to bond with the planet, how to listen. The jungle no longer killed humans. It protected them. They built sanctuaries hidden in the foliage, powered by geothermal vents and shielded by bioluminescent plants. Their weapons fused technology and nature, guns grown from bark, armor that adapted like living skin. Kale 7 had become a forge, and Elias was the smith. Aliens came, too. Refugees. Survivors. Escaped slaves from the Empire who had nowhere else to go. Elias took them in, just like the humans. Species once divided by fear now fought side by side under his banner. Kale 7 wasn't just a prison anymore. It had become the galaxy's most dangerous safe haven. But peace wasn't enough. The Empire had to pay. The first strike wasn't grand. It was surgical. A supply convoy near the Kale border disappeared. No distress signal, no wreckage. Just silence. Then, a week later, a deep space station exploded from within, its AI corrupted by a virus coded in an old Earth programming language. The Empire dismissed it as coincidence. Until a month passed, and 7 more outposts fell. All without warning. Each strike surgical, precise, and brutal. No one was spared. The few survivors spoke of creatures in the shadows, men who moved like ghosts, and a man with white eyes riding a winged beast made of lightning. Elias had taken the war off-world. Using grown ships, living starcraft bred on Kale 7's floating mountains, his forces slipped through patrols and hit targets deep in enemy space. These ships didn't run on fuel. They fed on starlight and void radiation, invisible to conventional scanners. The Empire's admirals were furious. They launched a full-scale invasion of Kale 7 with 5 fleets. Only 2 made it out. And they didn't return whole. The Wild King didn't just fight. He hunted. He used the planet's fury, storms, beasts, fungal spores, lava rivers, as part of his arsenal. He set traps that lured ships into black clouds filled with winged serpents. He turned their own mechs into ticking bombs by infecting them with Kale-borne viruses. Elias' people weren't rebels. They were a force of nature. And as their legend spread, so did rebellion. Dozens of frontier worlds declared independence, inspired by the ghost warrior from the prison planet. Some even requested his help. He sent them seeds. Kale 7's seeds. They grew into weapons. And then, Elias sent a message to the Empire. You sent me to die. Now I send you to remember. Kale 7 belongs to no one. But I do. The Empire was unraveling. Each time they tried to respond with force, Kale 7 answered with something wilder. Their cruisers were dragged from orbit by magnetic storms, their orbital cannons jammed by organic tech, their soldiers swallowed whole by living terrain that shifted and bit back. Elias didn't just control Kale 7 anymore. He was Kale 7. Whispers spread in backchannels of the Imperial military. Some said Elias had merged with the planet, that its fungi had rewritten his DNA, that he didn't bleed red anymore. That when he spoke, the roots listened. That his dragon, Ashkara, had grown massive enough to block the stars. In truth, Elias was still human. But Kale had changed him, sharpened his instincts, expanded his mind. It gave him visions of futures, of choices not yet made. It taught him how to fight with patience. And, more dangerously, it taught him how to make others believe. From deep within the hollow spire, Elias carved out a war chamber. Bones from ancient beasts formed its walls, and bioluminescent vines coiled through them like circuitry. Around him stood warriors, not just Kale 7 survivors now, but defectors, revolutionaries, alien outcasts who had all heard one thing. He survived Kale 7. He commands it. He cannot be killed. They called him Stormborn, the Wild King, breaker of chains. And then, they started calling him something else. Emperor Eater. Because wherever he set foot, the Empire died. The Empire had lost its will to fight. 4 years, they had been on the offensive, crushing resistance across star systems, oppressing millions. But now, as the name Elias spread across imperial worlds, fear replaced arrogance. The war machines of the Empire could no longer operate in the shadow of his legend. The Imperial High Command met in secrecy, debating their next move. Their emperor, now a distant figure who rarely made public appearances, could do little but order retaliations that were swallowed whole by Kale 7's wrath. A new order was forming, a new empire, one that was not built on fear, but on the ancient law of retribution. Elias had begun to speak of something more dangerous than war, legacy. He had seen the destruction and misery the Empire had left behind, and now he would rebuild. Not Kale 7. Not just his people. He would remake the galaxy. And to do that, he would need a different kind of army. An army of the wronged. Kale 7's biomes began to produce more than weapons. They produced life. Fighters who were not born in sterile labs, but in the heart of the wilderness. Enhanced by the planet, they were stronger, faster, and more adaptable than any soldier the Empire had ever produced. The rebels who had once fought for survival now found themselves transformed into something more, warriors who were not just battling an empire, but fighting to change the very laws of existence. Elias called them the Stormborn Legion. They were led not by generals or strategists, but by those who had lived through the pain of oppression. They were shaped by their own suffering and strength. Each one of them had a reason to fight. Every battle was personal. Every strike carried vengeance. And under Elias, vengeance would come not as a whisper, but as a storm. The Empire was on its last legs. Kale 7 had become a savage sanctuary for Elias and his people. From the depths of the planet's most dangerous biomes, his forces launched waves of destruction against the Empire's remaining strongholds. Their ships were torn from the skies by the planet's magnetic storms, their fleets swallowed whole by sentient sands that consumed them, piece by piece. The rest of the galaxy watched in stunned silence. Elias was no longer a renegade. He was no longer just a survivor. He had become the living symbol of resistance. Planet after planet fell under his banner. No fortress was too strong. No fleet was too powerful. And then, Elias made his move. He attacked Imperial core worlds, the most fortified and heavily guarded systems in the galaxy. The Emperor's prized worlds, untouched by rebellion for centuries, were now vulnerable. Under his command, Kale 7's forces struck in a devastating series of precision raids that left nothing standing. The Empire's capital planet, Xerxes, once thought to be impregnable, was next. The Emperor, now a shadow of his former self, issued his final command. His once loyal generals rallied their forces in a desperate bid to push back the invaders. But they were no longer fighting an army. They were fighting Elias. The Battle of Xerxes would become a legend of its own. The skies were black with the fires of war, the fields beneath them littered with the bones of imperial soldiers. Ashkara, Elias's albino dragon, soared above, her massive wings sending shockwaves that shook the very ground beneath the Empire's forces. And then Elias, leading his forces from the front, came face to face with the Emperor. The two locked eyes. One had built an empire of fear and subjugation. The other had risen from nothing to become the galaxy's most feared figure. The Emperor fell. Not by force, but by the weight of his own tyranny. Elias took the throne, not by claim, but by right. Kale 7, the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, was now his to control. And with it, Elias's rule would stretch far beyond the reaches of the Empire. The war was over. In the aftermath of the fall of Xerxes and the death of the Emperor, the galaxy stood in awe of Elias and his transformation of Kale 7. What had once been the most dangerous planet in the universe was now a thriving world. A sanctuary for the oppressed, the broken, and the vengeful. But this was only the beginning. Elias had come to Kale 7 as a prisoner, a mere tool in the hands of an empire that thought it could break him. Instead, he had forged something far greater, a future The Stormborn Legion had become more than just soldiers. They were now the keepers of an entirely new order. Under Elias's rule, the galaxy was no longer divided by tyrants, warlords, and empires. It was united under a banner of justice, of vengeance, and of a collective struggle for freedom. His first decree was simple but far-reaching. No one, no species, no civilization would ever be subjected to the kind of cruelty the Empire had forced upon the galaxy again. Every system, every corner of the known universe would know that Kale 7 had conquered them not through bloodshed, but through the power of unity. And so, the galaxy began to change. Part 11. Legacy of the Stormborn. Elias's legend became a myth. He was no longer just the human who had conquered the most dangerous planet. He became the symbol of resilience. The Stormborn Legion, under his command, ensured that the galaxy flourished in a way the Empire never could have. They built alliances with alien species that had once been subjugated, formed pacts with civilizations that had been on the brink of destruction, and brought peace to regions that had known nothing but war for centuries. But even as his power grew, Elias never lost sight of the past. He never forgot the pain, the suffering, and the loss that had shaped him. He did not allow the galaxy to forget, either. Every world, every colony, every system that had once been under imperial control became a tribute to the fallen. The ruins of the Empire were turned into monuments, and the Phoenix, as Elias came to be known, remained a guiding force, a reminder of what the galaxy had once been and what it could become. As Elias stood on the balcony of the Citadel, looking out over the now thriving cityscape of Kale 7, his heart swelled with a quiet pride. The galaxy was his. But more than that, it was free.